Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Monster Territory, brought to you by the Foul Territory Network. Another ugly loss tonight. Final score 9-5. The Angels, they just got the Red Sox numbers so far. They've now won 3 out of 4 games against the Red Sox up to this point. Back to 500. Unfortunately, I thought we were beyond this point. I thought once we got back to 500. I thought we were going to be taking that step forward here. I thought this was in the past, but here we are. Not really sure what else to say. 40-40. Just, getting back to your old habits, your old bad habits. Another messy game. Holy messy game tonight. This time, the base running really coming up at a bad spot here tonight. Connor Wong, hey, nice to see Connor Wong getting his first RBI of the season, for crying out loud. But another blunder defensively. Connor Wong just continues to, just not really, sure. He's had maybe a couple of good moments this year, but time and time again, Connor Wong just fails to really bring much value to this team. And I hate saying that because I really liked Connor Wong last year. I thought there were a lot of good things that he did. Sure, there were things defensively he had to work on, but this year, it's anytime Carlos Narvaez is not in this game, I am not confident at all. Again, good to see Connor Wong, coming through with the bat a little bit here tonight. But you know what? You got to be able to deliver on both sides of the ball. At this point, I would much rather have your backup catcher be a defensive wizard and not really give you much with the bat. At least that you're going to be fine defensively back there. It is what it is, but, it wasn't just him. Bad base running, Jaron Duran, Abraham Toro. We'll get to that when we break down the offense in just a little bit. But Walker Buehler. Holy cow, Walker Buehler. Man, oh man, I'm not really sure what to say about Buehler at this point. I don't even think he knows what to say. I know this is eating at him. This is a guy where came back from Tommy John last year. Didn't really have it last year, which is, understandable. But then in the postseason, he finds his way, gets it going, ends up getting the final out of the World Series, goes into the offseason, bets on himself, pretty much takes a one-year deal. Sure, there's a mutual option, but, really, he's betting on himself, trying to have a good year and then go back out and then get himself a better contract. But 7 walks is never going to cut it. The most in his career up to this point was 5, and 7 walks tonight. I've said this about Buehler. I've said this multiple times, over his last few starts now. I just feel like there's not really a plan. I feel like he's all over the place. It's all these different things he keeps trying. I feels like quantity over quality at this point. Coming into the start tonight, one pitch that I've recognized that has been a good pitch for him this year is a sinker. Wasn't really throwing it all that much. I mean, he couldn't really throw strikes. It didn't really matter. So that's where I'm wondering, I wonder about the pitch mix. But then I also wonder what's going on mechanically. Is he dealing with some kind of an injury? I don't know. I mean, I don't think so because his velo is still looking pretty good. He's still getting pretty good movement on his pitches. He just can't locate. So that's where I'm thinking it's got to be something mechanically going on with Buehler at this point. I'm not sure if they got to skip a start here. At this point, it's getting really hard. If I were the manager, it's getting to the point where I get it. He's a veteran, but you're at the point now where you are almost in July. You are a 500 baseball team still. You thought you were past this point, and you haven't been able to take that step forward. You fell right back into it, right? At this point, you got to start winning games, right? I mean, we all know this. Obviously, we're not stupid, right? We got to win games, from the first game of the season. But at this point, when you really got to start putting the foot on the pedal, are you comfortable giving the ball to Walker Buehler every 5th day? At this point, I'm not, right? Sure, did he settle down? We'll get to his start in a little bit, but, bad first inning, but, he was able to settle down after that, but that's not what you need. The Red Sox are really lacking a number 2 in this rotation. If they are going to be buyers, I heard a lot of talk today on Red Sox Twitter land, Section 10, they had their latest episode. They were talking all these different, trade possibilities. I'm thinking like, I don't know. It's very interesting right now in Red Sox land. Obviously trading away Rafi Devers doesn't really help that discussion. But if they were to be buyers, I think you got to go out there and you got to get a number 2 starter. I think you have to do it. You got to figure something out, right? Still waiting for the floodgates to open a little bit with the trade market. But that should be priority number 1. If you are indeed committed to trying to make the postseason this year, which I do think the Red Sox are, I have a hard time seeing them being just full-on sellers at the deadline. I really do. I just don't think it's going to happen. If anything, you do like some sort of a soft sell, like almost like a Detroit Tigers kind of an approach from last year where they traded away Jack Flaherty, but they still went on a run in the second half and they made it to the postseason. They're 1 win away from going to the championship series. Could I see a scenario like that for the Red Sox? I could maybe see that. But maybe not even to that extent. When the Tigers traded away Jack Flaherty last year, that looked like a sell kind of a move, right? No one expected the Tigers to get back on track the way they did. So I don't even expect the Red Sox to even get to that point. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting, but I think that's really what they need to do. You were getting some great starting pitching there for a little bit. And even Walker Buehler, he looked all right not too long ago against the Rays, but you can't really trust him at this point. I'll break his start down in just a little bit, but the bullpen tonight, Garrett Whitlock just couldn't hold it down, right? It was a ball game late in the game. It might not feel like it looking back, but, it was. They were right there, right? But, doesn't matter what you do with the offense, right, which was fine tonight yet again. But once again, sloppy play. It comes back to bite you, whether that's defensively, on the base paths. I don't know, man. I hate having this conversation again because it felt like we were all ready to take that step forward. And I thought we were. I thought we really were. Even after the Rafi trade, I'm thinking, all right, you know what? Feels like a different team. It feels like there's some kind of a different mojo going on here. These guys are battling. These guys are scrapping out there. And they were finding ways to win games even without Rafi. But then you go to San Fran, you win that first one, but then you drop the next 2. Things were looking very good in those first 4 games without Rafi. And now, what can you do? I see a lot of you in the chat. Thank you for coming out tonight. It is a late one tonight. I am going to move along pretty quickly here tonight. It is a late one. It's 1 a.m. here on the East Coast. I'm going to be honest. I can't wait for this team to come back to the East Coast, man. The West Coast games are killing me. It's ruined my sleep schedule, but the show must go on no matter where they are. But before I do move on, we do have a word from our sponsor.
FT fam, did you know that Huel has sold over 500 million meals around the world, and now it is your turn to try it. While I drink it.
Drink up, Scott, so I can discuss Huel and how I love it. I had some for breakfast this morning. I like to drink it post-workout because of the protein included in it. It always tastes delicious, whether it's strawberry, banana, chocolate, vanilla, whatever the flavor is. It tastes like a dessert, honestly. It should not taste as good as it does.
I agree. New customers get 15% off plus a free gift at Huel.com when you use the FT code. That is FOUL, F-O-U-L, at Huel.com/FOUL. Don't miss out. Try Huel today for a perfectly balanced meal. If you miss a meal, if you're looking for a little protein boost, you just saw me drinking the Black Edition ready to drink. There's the vanilla flavor. I love what the chocolate brings to the table. It's really damn good. So give it a shot, FT fam. 15% off plus a free gift for new customers with the code FOUL.
All righty, let's get to Walker Buehler, shall we? Like I said, another terrible start for Buehler. Terrible start tonight. Not just the overall start, but the actual start to his game tonight. First inning, just walking guys left and right. Taylor Ward, Mike Trout, back-to-back walks. Zach Nato also had a home run in this inning. Joe Adele, base hit, made it 3-2. Lamont Wade, hit by a pitch. Rengifo with a walk. That walked in a run. Christian Moore, another walk. Walk it in a run. Nato hit by a pitch. 5-3. Right? I mean, right off the bat, just things were just off the train tracks with Walker Buehler. He did settle down the next couple of innings. Fourth inning, right, he did run into some trouble again, loading up the bases, a couple of more walks, a base hit. He was able to get out of it. Joe Adele with the pop out. But you can't be having these starts. You just can't. Buehler, final line on the night, 4 innings, 3 hits, 5 earned, 7 walks, a career high. Career high. Everyone in the chat, if you can help us out, just hit that like button for us. If you are new, just finding us for the first time, subscribe. We are trying to get to 4K by the All-Star break. We are getting pretty close. But Walker Buehler, again, I'm starting to wonder, do you skip his next start? Do you do a phantom IL kind of a stint? You got to do something, man. I get it. Bailey, I think it's a mechanical thing going on. I'm not sure. I'll have to look into it. I'd have to watch some of the replay a little bit, check on the release points. But there's clearly something going on. I don't know what it is, but they got to figure it out. And I think they just got to find a way to simplify things. Remember, Brian Bayo, he was having some trouble not too long ago. Remember, he went from the windup just going into the stretch. Is that something Walker Buehler maybe needs to do here? Just to simplify things, right? Just to help clean things up over the next couple of starts, right? Really just zone in on a few pitches. He was going with the fastball a lot tonight, but again, I love the sinker that he has, right? He's got some good tail on it. And I think another problem with Walker Buehler at this point is he is getting those counts, right? 0-2, he is getting some 1-2 counts. He's getting 2 strikes, but he's just not able to put these guys away. He just feels, even when he is able, to throw some decent pitches, he just feels a bit predictable. Right now, he just feels like a fastball slider kind of a guy. And it just feels like he's still trying to find some other kind of a pitch that he can go to. I think those are the 2 things that are really hurting him right now. He's not throwing enough strikes. I'm wondering if there's a mechanical thing going on that's preventing him from attacking the strike zone a lot and just not having another pitch that he can go to. It just feels like anytime he has, even some kind of a chance where he's getting ahead of hitters, it just seems like they're reading him very well. Walker Buehler's got to figure something out here. But getting to the offense here. Now, this was interesting. And coming into the game here tonight, we talked about it with the preview yesterday. Jack Economix has not been good this year. This is a guy where he's got some pretty nasty stuff. He's a big guy. He's got a good sinker, has some good movement on it. But this is a guy that leaves a lot of pitches over the plate. He's struggled with his command this year. And they started going to town on him very early. Wilyer Abreu, base hit, that scored 2. Cedar Rafaela, staying hot, RBI base hit. They made it 3-0. So the Red Sox were coming out of the gate exactly what you needed to do. When Buehler started giving up all those runs, though, I just started feeling pretty bad. I was not feeling very good about it. As the game went on, you're seeing the Red Sox, they're starting to add on some runs. So you're thinking, all right, okay, maybe they were able to figure this one out tonight. But still, that early going, I wasn't feeling good about it because anytime you jump out to a lead like they did, and then you just give it right back, it's just never a good feeling. 4th inning, Seti got hit by a pitch, ended up stealing second. Marcelo Meyer with a ground out to move him over. Connor Wong, first RBI in the year with a sac fly. Shout out Connor Wong on that one. My goodness. First RBI since last year. 5th inning, this is where things started getting very messy. Jarren Duran with a double. We'll talk about Jarren Duran in just a little bit when we start talking about what the guys were talking about over at Section 10. I'll give you my thoughts on that. But Duran, hey, coming through. This is what Duran's good at, right? Brings you the speed. Ended up getting to second base. Now, Abraham Toro. He was up next. Ground ball to shortstop. I had some people coming at me on Twitter about this one. It was blowing my mind that people were actually defending Jarren Duran on this. And listen, I love Jarren Duran. I love everything this guy's done. I love the athleticism that he has. I love how hard he plays. I love the passion that he plays with in this game. I love so many things about Duran, right? I love just all the intangibles that he brings to this team. But he messed up here, and there is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Ground ball to shortstop. Right off the bat, it was slightly to his right. Ended up kind of being sort of right in front of him. But when there's no one on first, there's no one behind you, there's no outs, even if the ball is hit right at you, you should not be running. It was a bad read from Jarren Duran. Even Will Middlebrooks himself said it on the broadcast. It was not a good read. I don't know who needs to hear that. Again, there were a couple of people that were coming at me on Twitter saying, like, why are you blaming Duran for this? If the ball maybe was to his left, okay, maybe that's one thing. But even still, when you're on second with no outs, there's no force. You, the base runner, you are in charge of yourself out there. You've got to read the ball a little bit better. You can't be getting thrown out. Well, what ended up happening was Nato, ground ball to him, all right? Like I said, right off the bat, was a little to his right. All right, if you go look at the replay, ended up kind of being right in front of him pretty much. But at that point, Jarren Duran, he's got to get back to the bag. Instead, he just starts going. Right? He starts just going to third, ends up getting caught in the rundown. He gets thrown out. But then what ended up happening here, Abraham Toro starts going to second base. And this guy was out by a mile. I don't know what Abraham Toro was even doing. I'm thinking, like, what is happening here? So Toro, he's trying to go to second base. So Rengifo, he moved to second base to cover the bag. And now, the rule states that you cannot block the bag when you don't have the ball. When you have the ball, you can block the bag. He ended up blocking the bag. He put a knee down right before he got the ball. So, technically, again, with the umpire, what he ended up ruling was that Toro was out, right? Because he was tagged out. He did not rule that Rengifo was blocking the bag, even though he did get the ball slightly, even though he blocked the bag before getting the ball, like by a second, right? Wasn't even that big of a difference. So the umpire thinking, okay, well, Toro was just so, he was just out by a mile at that point. It didn't even really matter. All right, so Cora, he ended up coming out. We all kind of were wondering, what is he, arguing here? Cora got absolutely heated about it. They still said Toro was out. Cora got right in the ump's face. I believe it was the same umpire that was in San Francisco for that series, and they had some bad umpiring there. So Cora's obviously frustrated. He gets thrown out, but you don't ever see Cora get hot like that with the ump getting right in his face like that. In the end, though, Toro is out by a mile. So, you can argue it and, sure. But why Toro was even running to second base, I don't know. Why Jarren Duran was running to third, I don't know. And I'm going to say that again. Jarren Duran should not have been running to third. There was no excuse for it. I guarantee someone in the comments after this stream, they're going to leave a comment and they're going to say, Robbie, Jarren Duran was completely right going to third base. No, he wasn't. Stop it. Jarren Duran made a miscue. Even the broadcast was saying he had a bad read on it. That's on Duran. I love Duran, but that's on him. Bad base running. It is what it is. Mistakes happen. And it's fine that mistakes happen, but when they start happening a lot, and with Duran lately, again, I love Duran. I love what he brings to the table. But when you're making this many mistakes, whether it's base running or sliding into second and you're coming off the bag, or you're making errors out in left field, dropping the ball in Milwaukee, a couple other drop balls along the way, San Fran, him and Nate Eaton getting tangled up out there. I understand Nate Eaton just came up, but you got to communicate better out there. I get it. You haven't really played with each other all that much. Maybe a little bit of blame can go both ways there, but still, it's just, it's mistake after mistake after mistake and miscue after miscue. There's a lot of them going on right now. And it just so happens that Duran just happens to be involved with all of them. At what point, we love Duran. We do. The guy's great. But at what point are you going to say, like, okay, there seems to be some kind of an issue here. If it happens once, okay. Twice, all right. But, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, you're involved with all of it. You got to fix it. And again, I love the way he plays, but there's a lot of mistakes going on, right? It's a lot of mistakes. It's frustrating. And I guarantee you he's just as frustrated, right? But not all was lost at that point. Trevor Story ended up getting a home run, absolute laser in the 6th inning. Trevor Story, sure, it's not his best season ever, but guy is still finding ways to contribute along the way. And playing a pretty solid shortstop for the most part. 7th inning, though, you really came up short here. This was your chance to really just put your foot down in this game. Wong with a base hit. Connor Wong tonight. Shout out to him. David Hamilton with a bunt base hit. Jarren Duran, good sack bunt. Again, say it one more time. Sure, he's made a lot of miscues, but I love the way he plays. I love the attributes that he brings. I love the skill set that he brings, and he looked great here. All right, had the sack bunt, moved over to the runners. They intentionally walked Romy. Remember, Reed Detmers, the lefty, was in, so he ended up walking Romy. Good play. And then Roman Anthony. Roman Anthony came up. And this is kind of where, I think back, okay, well, I thought the plan was Roman wasn't going to be going up against lefties. Now, listen, I've been one saying, okay, hey, you know what? Sure. If you want to go, put him up against certain lefties out there, maybe like Tyler Anderson, who I think is a guy that you should be able to handle if you're a lefty. But Reed Detmers, a guy who has been great out of the bullpen this year. And I know some of you are going to look at that ERA and you're going to think, Reed Detmers, he hasn't been that great. No, the advanced metrics of Detmers look a lot better. Guys had some good velo, good stuff, good strikeouts out of the bullpen. His FIP is under a 3. So Reed Detmers, he's a tough lefty to go up against. So again, if you didn't want Roman going up against, tough lefties, well, why was he batting here? 8th inning with the bases loaded. Listen, I love Roman, but I'm more just, questioning, well, what was the plan? I thought the plan was to not have the lefty matchup. Again, it's like, what do you really do? But, that could have been a spot here. Let me double check. Could that have been a spot, maybe for Ref Snyder to come in? I was just double checking. Did Ref Snyder come in at one point? No, Ref Snyder was not in the game here tonight. So why didn't Ref Snyder come in? I don't know. I'm thinking like that would have been a pretty good spot for him. Bases loaded. Lefty. On Ref Snyder mashes lefty. So where was Ref Snyder? I love Roman, but again, I don't know. And then Trevor Story with a strikeout to end the 7th inning. And that was it for the offense. That was it for the offense here. And but then the bullpen, right? Hey, shout out Luis Guerrero. He shut it down for a couple of innings in the 5th and the 6th right after Walker Buehler. Whitlock, hey, he had a 1-2-3 7th. He looked good there, but ran into trouble in the 8th inning. Lamont Wade with a base hit. He stole 2nd. Connor Wong with the bad throw. He moved over to 3rd. Rengifo with a walk. Christian Moore, sack fly, made it 6-5. Pretty much it was done at that point. Nato with a base hit to load the bases. Sean Webb with a base hit. They intentionally walked Trout, and then they ended up walking Taylor Ward. Can you get mad at them in that situation? It's Mike Trout, one of the greatest players of all time. Do you really want to go up against Trout in that situation? Now, Trout tonight, he was, he had a few walks on the night, a couple of runs scored, no hits. I don't know. I think we can all agree that probably walking Trout there was fine, but Taylor Ward, this has been a guy that's been doing a lot of damage this year. But hey, credit to Ward, working the walk. And then you brought in Alcala. Darno had the base hit. They made it 9-5. And that was it. Just a messy game all the way around here tonight. You had the offense here again to get the job done. For the most part, Guerrero, Whitlock for a little bit. They were looking all right, but just bad pitching, bad command, bad base running, bad defense. What else is there to say? But we are going to get to the Game 2 preview. If you are watching on Nesson, we are going to wrap it up right there. We are at a time here. If you are watching on Nesson, thank you for watching tonight or this morning, whatever time it may be for you. It's very late where I am. It's almost 1:30 in the morning here. So thank you for joining me today. People over on Nesson will be back here tomorrow night. So we'll see you all then. But here on YouTube, let's wrap this up. We got the Game 2 preview. And before I get to that, though, we do have one more word from our sponsor.
By now, you know about Arena Club. Buy, sell, trade, open up slab packs to get a card that you don't think you could get usually, but the Grails will tell you that, for example, there's an Aaron Judge rookie card in this week's slab packs. So make sure you check those out.
No doubt. Those are what you want, the Grails.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Judge Grail is awesome. Graded. Traded if you want. Tell you how much it's worth. Whatever you want to do. And I'm a big Michael Jordan fan with my 23 shirt on. There's a Michael Jordan Grail in there that I'm looking forward to try to get.
20% off your first slab pack or card purchase at arenaclub.com/foul. Use code FOUL.
All righty. Game 2 preview. Garrett Crochet on the mound tomorrow. Need this one tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. You need it. I hate doing this with Garrett Crochet all the time. I mean, again, we were getting really good starting pitching. So it's kind of hard to, sit here and say like, oh, it's always on Garrett Crochet's shoulders. No, there have been, great performances from the rotation over the last couple of weeks. It's just unfortunate, right? Buehler here tonight. You weren't able, Giolito was okay on Sunday. Bayo wasn't bad on Saturday, but, that's where just this messy play has been coming to bite you in the butt. But Crochet, you're going to need this one tomorrow. You need this one tomorrow. You can't fall below 500 again. You got to get back out in front of this, man. It's such, it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. But Crochet, we all know what you're going to get. You're going to get the big fastball. You're going to get some sweepers. You're going to get some cutters. The guy's nasty. Very good year so far. One of the best pitchers in baseball. 2.20 ERA on the year. 2.59 on the FIP. 11 strikeouts per 9. 2.5 walks per 9. Under a home run per 9. We all know the deal with Garrett Crochet. He's been phenomenal. Like I said, you're going to get the fastballs. You're going to get the cutters. You're going to get the sweepers. Maybe throwing a few sinkers along the way. But no worries with Garrett Crochet on the mound tomorrow. But then you got Tyler Anderson. Remember Tyler Anderson, him and the first base coach got into it back at Fenway Park. But if you go back to that start, the Red Sox, they were able to get to Tyler Anderson pretty good, right? Tyler Anderson, he's going to be a 3-pitch pitcher from the left side. Good veteran guy for the back end of a rotation, but not really much more. He's going to give you a fastball, changeup, throw some cutters in there. But like Kokonowicz tonight, the Red Sox should be able to go to town once again against Tyler Anderson. This should be a mismatch. You got Crochet against Tyler Anderson. There's no excuse for this one tomorrow. Going back here, Red Sox against Anderson, no home runs really, but Carlos Narvaez, I'm expecting him to be back in the game tomorrow. I mean, he's only got he's got a hit and an RBI against him. But then you're looking at Duran. He's had success against him at 946 OPS. Romy, he's had some success. I would imagine Ref Snyder is going to be in the game tomorrow, I would think. I mean, he's done well against him, right? He's got 4 hits and 8 ABs against him. Will we see Anthony Meyer? I don't think Anderson is one of the more tough lefties in the game, so I could see Anthony still in the game tomorrow somehow, some way. We'll see. Jaron Duran, where is he going to be in the lineup tomorrow? Is he going to still be at the top of the order? Are they going to move him down? Are you going to go Ref Snyder leading off? They've been going Ref Snyder as a righty leading off against lefties, so let's see if they stick to that plan. We'll see. But this is a game that you should be able to win here tomorrow. Let's read a couple of comments, shall we? Let's read a couple of comments. Now, I saw one. Here. Where was it? It was talking about trades. Mason R. It's time to trade him at the deadline. or put him in the bullpen. I think you're referring to Walker Buehler. Could you see a scenario where Buehler maybe ends up going elsewhere, or like maybe goes back to the Dodgers possibly? I'm not sure what they would do there. At this point, Buehler hasn't been able to figure it out. Is any team even going to want him? Now, really quick, talking about Section 10 here today, they were getting into some Duran trade talk. Duran's name has been coming up as of late. There's been a couple of rumors out there. We all saw the Padres one not too long ago. There was something about the Braves that was floating around a little bit. It's interesting with Duran, and I said this in the Giants series. How many miscues are the Red Sox? The Red Sox obviously know what Duran brings to the table with his athleticism, with his speed, right? What he did last year at the plate. But again, at this point, it's last year. Duran is Duran this year, right? Again, the bat, it's looked all right, but it's funny enough, if you take a look at Duran right now, I mean, OPS, it's only at a 715. It's funny because I expected some regression with Duran coming into this year. If you go take a look at the metrics from last year, they weren't amazing all over the place, right? The plate discipline still wasn't amazing last year. He had a very high BABIP. So I did expect regression this year with Duran. But I'm going to say this too. I have been on the side where I personally would like to keep Duran. I would, because I think you bring that skill set that it's hard to replicate. At the same time, though, when I keep seeing all of these mishaps, these errors, the base running blunders, I'm almost wondering at this point, could you, what's going to be more worth it? Keeping the athleticism, keeping the speed in the lineup, but also still, having the errors and the base running mistakes along the way, or maybe going in a different direction. Again, I would love for the Red Sox to keep Duran. I've been on the side where I think teams would hold on one second. Got my alarm going off. Where I've been on the side with, where I could see teams being more attracted to Buehler Abreu, right? Because he's got a lot more control. He's got more upside with power. You have a, how do I say this? Like with Duran, what you're going to get. You're going to get the speed, right? You're going to get all that. But with Abreu, you got more thump with him. And teams really value that. Now, teams also value Duran. But I just wonder, at this point, if you asked me a week ago, I'm saying probably no on this. And even before, I listened to Section 10 today, I was thinking to myself, maybe. There could be something with Duran, because I've been told personally that there have been talks out there, right? I've been told personally there's been something floating around where the Braves have made a couple of phone calls. Who knows like how far those talks even got, but it probably was more just so kicking the tires. But I could see teams out there that if they're trying to get over the hump and, they need some speed in their lineup, then yeah, like I could see Duran possibly getting moved. If I was a GM out there, I would really love to get Buehler Abreu. That's kind of where I was leaning prior, where I could see Abreu being more of a trade chip. But, if a team's looking for speed, well then, yeah, Duran, I think, could be had. And I'm starting to think now the Red Sox might be, I'm guessing, but with all the mistakes, I am wondering if maybe they're willing to move on, and they're just ready to go with Roman out there. Massa's going to be coming back here soon. Looks like he's going to be going on a rehab assignment here, ladies and gentlemen. That's getting close. But that's where I wonder, when Massa comes back, well, DH, that's going to be filled now. How much out? Is he going to even be playing any outfield? I don't know. So you might be thinking here, Duran's name has been coming up, but also Yoshida, he's been coming up as well. So could those two be lining up possibly where maybe we see some kind of a move here over the next couple of weeks? We'll see. It's going to get interesting. Phoenix in the chat. This is a good comment. I think GMs value Durant more. He's shown he has a higher ceiling. Now, so this is where I'm going to agree and disagree with that comment. I can see GMs valuing Durant because he does bring a skill set where he could take teams to that next level. Like, for instance, the Braves. They really need some more speed in the lineup. They're one of the worst teams when it comes to speed. And they need an answer out in left field. So he makes a lot of sense for them. But the problem with the Braves is they don't really have a lot of trade chips. Durant, sure, he's not doing as well as he was last year, but he has value. He absolutely does. He has trade value because he has 3 more seasons of control. If you're looking at a 2 wins above replacement on average, at least, I mean, you're still looking at a lot of trade value because he's not making a ton of money. Now, he is going to start making a little bit more as he goes into his arbitration years, but the field performance that he has projection-wise is definitely outweighing what he's going to make in money. So that's where the trade value is, right? He has value there. Now, Abreu, on the other hand, I think Abreu still needs to show that he can do more against left-handed pitching, but I think the power upside of Abreu, I think, is intriguing to a lot of teams, along with the fact that he has 4 more seasons of club control after this year. That is a lot of control. That's more than Durant, right? So I think from a trade value point of view, I think they're pretty close. But I could see, it depends. I think it comes down to it depends between certain organizations. I think some teams could value Durant more, but I could also see other teams valuing Abreu more. I think it depends on the team. So I don't think your comment's not wrong, and what you are saying, I think, is right. But I think that answer is more somewhere in the middle. I hope that makes sense. But I do agree here, Phoenix. You're saying nobody's taking Massa's contract. I see you, Mason. Massa needs to get traded. Yeah, that's not going to happen. If he wasn't able to get traded this past offseason, there's no way at this point. There's no way. Unless he starts hitting really well and maybe teams take on, maybe this coming offseason, they take on the last couple of years. Yeah, Phoenix, listen on both. I think at this point, if either one of those guys gets moved, I think you need to kind of figure something out. But again, I keep repeating myself on this. The more Durant keeps goofing up out there, again, I love the man, but I start to wonder if maybe the Red Sox are like, you know what? We really have to clean this up, and we really need to get this straightened out. And it keeps happening. And I'm not saying it's all on Durant. It's not. It's not all on him. I'm not putting all the blame on him. I'm not saying that. But it has been happening a lot with him. So that's where I just wonder if the Red Sox feel like, you know what? We need to trade him now before his value starts to drop possibly more. Right? Where Abreu, I still think there's more upside there. We'll see. We will see. It's going to get interesting, especially with Massa coming back soon. I wonder if we see a move over the next couple of weeks. But everybody, I'm going to wrap it up right there. I got to go to bed. I'm tired. I got a lot of work to do tomorrow. We got another video to do tomorrow for the main channel. And if you didn't see the video on the main channel today, I talked about the most underrated players in the game. Go give that a watch before you go to bed. Let me know. Leave me a comment what you think down below on it. But I'm going to get another video out hopefully tomorrow. The Athletic, they came out with their rankings of possible trade chips. And I believe Jarren Duran was number 1 on that list. So I think I'm going to do a video reacting to that. But everybody, I'm out of here. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I got to get some sleep. A bummer of a night for the Red Sox. We're used to it at this point. Will they ever be able to get their best foot forward and stay on that track? I don't know at this point. But everybody, go enjoy whatever is whatever is left of your night. And we'll be back here tomorrow night. I'll talk to you then.